BOOreau Boys is an improvised detective serial. Every Monday morning, the BOOreau Boys solve crimes based on clues sent in by their Pumpkinformants. That's you. Go to theBOOreauBoys.com to submit your clues. This week's clue was sent in by Informant Alex. The clue is stone.
When we last left the BOOreau Boys, they had spoken to Dr. Emily Cornelius, who quite clearly was in on a conspiracy with her mother, Gloria Greenwich. A conspiracy to afflict the entire town with untold horrors and maladies.
Before the BOOreau Boys could apprehend Dr. Cornelius, she tied their dicks together and escaped. Before the BOOreau Boys left her office, though, they found a clue inside a lamp. GPS coordinates to where the BOOreau Boys are now trying to find out.
Yes, take a left here. Yeah, right here.
Are you sure about this, Detective Reilley? Maybe we could just stop off at like a Best Buy and pick up a GPS system?
No, this is just as good, if not better than a GPS.
I'll tell you what, Detective Reilley, it's not better because I cannot stand looking at your dirty feet. Get them off the dashboard.
We see Detective Reilley with his fingers interlaced with his dirty, always unshoed toes, counting in some ancient GPS-like language that only Detective Reilley knows how to speak.
It's just so disgusting because your toe knuckles are the hairiest things that I think I've ever seen.
Detective in 2
Reilley.
miles, take a right at Torrance Street.
Okay, it's going to be a while if it's 2 miles away.
Well, you better step on the gas pedal.
Okay. Oh, you're right. I've been stepping on the clutch this whole time. There it goes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm not used to stick shift.
Everyone drives automatic. I don't know why the Bureau issued a stick shift car.
Detective Reilley, because clearly it has the decal on the side.
Also, we should make note that we didn't, when we first arrived, we obviously didn't drive. We had taken that stupid boober, but thankfully an assistant from the Bureau dropped off this stick shift back at back at Gloria Greenwich's house.
Thanks for clarifying that, Detective Reilley. I was there for it, but if you want to go over it again, that's fine, I guess. But yes, thank you.
Detective Potter looks out the window as the BOOreau Boys pass a flaming automobile.
Detective Reilley, I think that was Dr. Emily Cornelius's car.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but it kind of looked like it was on fire. You think that's like a special edition?
That's pretty astute detective work, Detective Reilley. I would say you don't need my opinion on this. That car was definitely on fire, and I don't know, I think I saw the crispy corpse of Dr. Emily Cornelius in the front seat.
I'll slam on the brakes.
Here we go. Hang on. Oh, sorry, that was the clutch again.
Just step on the brake.
Okay, got it. Okay.
All right. Put it in reverse.
Okay, wait. Is that... Okay.
You gotta shift put the clutch...
Detective Potter grinds the gears of the car several times before locking it into reverse and backing up to the car, where indeed Dr. Emily Cornelius's corpse is charring behind the wheel so that we never have to hear her voice again.
Oh my God, such a beautiful woman taken by such an ugly car wreck.
Do you think we should call someone? No, Detective Reilley, we have to stay on this case.
Also, we really can't be seen around our town's police force right now.
That's a good point. After the crucifixion?
Correct.
And all the restraining orders from those Catholic school kids.
Yeah, we need to stay on the lam, but this is huge. I said crash, but the car looks like it didn't hit anything because it's just in the middle of the road here, on fire.
Just burst into flame, maybe.
Yeah, like it was probably spontaneous automobile combustion.
I thought you were going to say spontaneous autoerotic asphyxiation. Detective Reilley, can you please take that plastic bag off your face, by the way?
Oh.
So Detective Reilley pulls a plastic bag off of his head.
Much better. That was making me very nervous.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Detective Reilley, since we got some time to pass over the course of the next 2 miles, maybe we should say a few words about Dr. Emily Cornelius until we get there.
Right. Well, she tied her boners together. What kind of... You want to honor her?
Well, I mean, if we're not going to call the police and maybe save her, we should at least say a couple words. And I know you're the spiritual one, Detective Reilley, but I don't want to interfere with you counting our way to the next turns.
This is a very uncomfortable position for me with my fingers interlocked with my toes.
Okay.
And I am not releasing. So I'll just stay kind of balled up.
Okay.
Go ahead, read your eulogy.
Okay.
Just the standard eulogy that you always read for every...
For the gym teacher when we crucified him, it's the same.
Correct.
It's very similar.
This is the exact same one.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll just take my hands off the wheel and interlock them into a prayer state.
My head's already down, so you can start whenever you're ready.
He or she was a person of means or destitute. He or she lived the way he or she died.
Mm-hmm.
Or perhaps in a completely different way.
That's right.
Can I get an amen?
Ooh, amen. Say it again.
He or she will always be missed by his or her loved ones, or maybe he or she won't because he or she had a falling out with his or her loved ones.
Yes, they did.
Prior to his or her death.
Woo! That's the way you say it, and that's right.
Amen.
Wow. May God have mercy on her soul.
And he will raise you up on eagle's wings. Detective Reilley, what are we doing?
Oh,
we got to focus on this case.
We're singing.
You have to focus on...
Yeah, you're the one that wanted to read the eulogy.
I know. I'm sorry. I just felt like we had to do something if we weren't going to, call the authorities so they could dispose of her charred corpse.
Let's get back to the case.
Good. Oh, Detective Reilley. We're here.
That was fast.
Yeah, I floored it. Once I realized which one was the clutch and which one was the gas, this car became a lot easier to drive.
I'm glad, actually, there were no more GPS coordinates except to take a right at that street, and now we're here.
And I have.
Right. And where is here?
The BOOreau Boys look out of the windows of the car in all four directions. They see an abandoned lot. They see a hemp shop.
They see scattered beads and some discarded beer cans.
They see one of those Halloween stores that pops up only for about a month a year, and you're like, how does that thing make any money in the other 11 months of the year?
And they see potholes everywhere.
Okay, Detective Reilley, we've got, looks to be a hemp store, an abandoned parking lot, a Halloween store, and a bunch of potholes.
Right.
Where do you want to start first? What are you feeling?
Hemp store. Easy. Why did you even ask?
I don't know. I legitimately don't know. I should have known.
Now, you got some of your supplies back from the boober.
That's right.
Good. We're going to need to analyze some hemp. And by analyze, I mean, let me borrow your lighter.
So the BOOreau Boys walk into the hemp store. They buy some kush.
I'm a drug aficionado, and I know that hemp doesn't really have much THC in it.
Okay.
But if we're going to continue this case, I think we're going to need to get a bit lifted.
So Detective Potter lights up what he thinks is a joint, but is actually a clove of cigarettes. He puts one into Detective Reilley's mouth and similarly lights it. But Detective Reilley's cigarette starts sparking and fizzing like the wick of a stick of dynamite. Detective Potter grabs what he thinks is a joint out of Detective Reilley's mouth and throws it onto the ground where it explodes.
Forming another pothole.
Detective Reilley! Oh my god! That almost killed you.
It could have blown my head off. Wait a minute. Everything in here's a trap. Someone's lured us in. They knew I was gonna try and smoke the hemp. Even though it doesn't have much THC, it can still get you just a little high if you smoke enough of it.
Detective Reilley, give me your receipt from the hemp store.
Right.
Detective Reilley hands over the receipt from the hemp store.
I knew it. Detective Reilley, look at the clerk who checked you out. Johnny G.
What?
Johnny G, Detective Reilley. Could that clerk in that hemp store be none other than Johnny Greenwich?
He didn't look like a club-footed old man.
He sure didn't. Detective Reilley, he kind of reminded me, though, back of what Johnny Greenwich used to look like when we watched him play baseball all those years ago. 1999.
Just like a young, fit, athletic high schooler?
Like, yeah, he was super
Lean
attractive.
body.
I don't want to talk too much about high schoolers after all that unpleasantness with the Catholic schools, but yes, Detective Reilley, he looks handsome. He looks like he hasn't aged a single day.
Well, let's not just stand here like two
idiots.
Blades of grass in the wind. Also idiots. Let's get back in there.
So the BOOreau Boys barge back into the hemp shop, where behind the counter is one single clerk.
Hey you, clerk.
Hey, buddy.
You sold us dynamite in a stick.
And, by the way, you only sold it to my partner. What, you don't want to blow my head off? Johnny?
Well, I guess your head's still attached, so the old dynamite clove cigarette didn't work, did it, BOOreau Boys? Or should I call you Detective Reilley and Detective Potter?
Oh, don't you dare use our bureau names until we've announced our bureau names to you.
Well, it's printed on the side of your car. It says Detective Reilley and Detective Potter are starring as the BOOreau Boys. Don't think I didn't see you two pull up. Also, don't you think if you're running around this town trying to solve cases that maybe you should, disguise yours? That's actually, Johnny, that's actually why we take a boober most places we go.
Yeah, and besides, we're working on a big Hollywood production, and it is going to get produced, and we are going to be stars, so you know what they say, fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
As Johnny struggles to eke out his next sentence, his mask begins to melt before the BOOreau Boys' eyes. It looks like the face of the Nazi at the end of Indiana Jones.
And the Last Crusade? Are you talking about Last Crusade?
The last arc of the Raiders.
Oh, that one.
Detective Potter, there's some dark magic at play here.
He looks like he just aged 1,000 years in just over the course of a minute.
Johnny Greenwich continues to age until he turns into just a pile of dust, never to be heard from again.
No!
Oh no, Detective Reilley. All of the leads in this case are mysteriously dying off.
That was definitely Johnny Greenwich, and now he's gone.
Yes, look at his class ring in this pile of ash. Johnny Greenwich, class of 99.
All right, hold on a second. We met Emily, Dr. Emily Cornelius.
R.I.P.
God bless her soul. I think is Dr. Emily Greenwich.
Agreed.
In my opinion. And she was found roasting like a marshmallow on the side of a road.
To be fair, no one's really found her. We just drove by and didn't report it at all. Presumably she will be found.
Eventually, some other good Samaritan will come by. So she's dead. And now, right? And now this guy, Johnny here, was trying to assassinate us, but then he died when the assassination failed. And Emily died after we interviewed her, interrogated her, and
she tied our dicks together.
But that didn't kill us and didn't stop us. We got out of there.
If anything, it made us stronger.
Yes. I think I've grown an inch. So now, I'm thinking, who's ever orchestrating all of this, and you know who I think is orchestrating all of this.
I think that you think it's Gloria Greenwich.
That's what I think.
And I also agree with that.
Okay, so we're agreed. Pretty sure that's the lead conspirator in this case, and I think she's the one now killing her family members because they keep failing.
If she was able to kill Johnny Greenwich, I have no idea how she did it, because it looked like his face just melted and then he aged 1,000,000 years and turned into a pile of dust.
That's what it looked like to us. But what was really going on inside?
Detective Reilley, next to the pile of ash, there's this, looks like a little vial. It's called aging juice. Detective Reilley, Johnny Greenwich was drinking out of this vial the first time I came in and bought that, what I thought was a joint.
Right. So it was a special concoction to make him look younger.
Detective Reilley, just like that toothpaste was a special concoction, look at the bottom of this label. Made on Elm Street.
Yep.
The apothecary on Elm Street.
Carrie on Elm Street.
This is Gloria Greenwich's work again, Detective Reilley.
It's got her fingerprints all over it.
It literally, I think, does. Hang on.
Wait,
let me dust her fingerprints.
Do it.
So Detective Potter grabs some powder from one of the shelves, which appears to be a ground-up bull's horn. He blows it onto the vial, revealing some smudged fingerprints.
Detective Reilley, there are fingerprints on this. I was right.
Now, if only we had a database that we could enter those fingerprints into, run it for a match, find our suspect.
Detective Reilley, what sort of Philip K. Dick weird science fiction are you reading right now?
You're right. Instead, I'm going to take my charcoal pencil and trace the grooves of this fingerprint and illuminate to us whose fingerprint it really is.
Detective Reilley, just so you can remember the fingerprint too, do you want me to read out loud what the fingerprint looks like so you can commit it to memory?
Yes, please describe the grooves in explicit detail.
Okay, sure, yeah, there's a few squiggly lines right here, kind of like concentric circles going out. There's some whirls, some swirls, some dips, some rises. Is that good?
Yes. As Detective Potter reads out loud the shape of the fingerprints, Wait.
No, you got it. You got it, Count Chocula.
Detective Reilley counts 1 groove, 2 groove, draws a 3rd groove, until he ends up with the 10th, maybe 11th groove. Hard to tell because the grooves groove, baby.
Real quick, you do know that Count Chocula and the Count from Sesame Street are not the same Count. Not even arguably from the same country.
Don't you think they might run in the same circles, being counts and all, having going to the same count parties?
Good point. Speaking of circles, back to this fingerprint.
Okay, I've traced the fingerprint, and now the charcoal will point the way to the fingerprint wearer, the origin of the fingerprint.
I love this idea, Detective Reilley.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
It's not every day you get recognized for a hard day's work.
Detective Reilley, the fingerprint appears to be pointing back to the east, back up the road we just came from, Detective Reilley, back toward the center of town.
In Detective Reilley's hand, the charcoal pencil he was using forms itself into a wretched pointer finger, pointing back into town, just as Detective Potter said it. This finger will lead us back to where Gloria Greenwich is.
You know what's at the center of that town, Detective Reilley. The big stone boulder at the center of town. The exact center of town. I know our office is right next to it, but that mysterious stone boulder in the middle of the town?
The one with the sword in it that no one's ever been able to pull out?
Yes, exactly. The one they rolled away from that guy's tomb and he came out of it 3 days later?
Yeah. And the same one that ancient archaeologist had to run away from when he took the special golden head?
Yeah, just to be clear, the archaeologist himself wasn't ancient, but he studied ancient archaeology.
That's it.
Detective Reilley, I think we gotta go check out that boulder.
So the BOOreau Boys, armed with a finger GPS made of charcoal pointing the way back to the boulder, jump into their car, grind a few gears, and head to the middle of town.
What will the BOOreau Boys find by the boulder at the center of town?
How did Johnny evaporate and Emily scorch?
Where is Gloria Greenwich, who appears to be the big bad of the BOOreau Boys case?
And what will happen when the boys face off against this strange witch?
Tune in next week to find out in Chapter 7 of the Case of the Tasteful Cabinet.
If you enjoyed this episode, go to theBOOreauBoys.com to submit your clues, and perhaps the boys will use it on a future episode.
While you're there, don't forget to subscribe to the BOOreau Boys, rate them, leave them a review, and tell all of your friends and family about the good work that the BOOreau Boys are doing.
But don't tell the criminals, because the BOOreau Boys are coming for them.